It's live. Yeah.
Well, what a way to begin live. We had Vignesh with us. Now we are going to connect with him again. Since we have a series victory with us, it's India versus Australia before. 2-1 India won the match, won the series, and now we have India versus South Africa on the cards. I have Vignesh and Pratyay with me. Welcome, guys, for this live, and thank you so much for joining me. India, South Africa, it is. We have seen a lot of big matches, big clashes between these two teams. I'm sure it is going to be very interesting this day again. Vignesh, your thoughts on this match? Like how interesting it is going to be, according to you?
Yeah, again, firstly, I find it interesting that South Africa actually came to India for a five-game T20 series in June, and again, they're coming for a three-game series again. So, 8 games, 8 T20Is in the World Cup year in close to approximately 3, 4, 5 months. Seems a bit interesting, but again, it's all about World Cup preparation. But again, we are counting days. The countdown was basically started. If we look into the series as a whole, I don't think. Yes, momentum is one thing, but keeping momentum aside, I feel they're not going to make a lot of chopping and changing the series if things don't go well as well. I think they're going to stick to the basics. They're going to stick to the core and move forward.
Pratik, you were with us during India Australia series, and you have closely followed India team and the way they have played through the series. Since it is a precursor to T20 World Cups, so I think this time India team is going to do the selection, which they are going with within the T20 World Cup as well. Because अब अगर changes करेंगे तो I'm sure T20 World Cup पे भी असर पड़ेगा. So this is the time to decide your 11 for the World Cup.
See, definitely, because I think it's almost round the corner. These are just the 3 games that you have officially before the World Cup, and then you are going to play a couple of practice matches, and then boom, you have the World Cup in front of you, of course. So I think from that perspective, of course, it's important to finalize your combination. Use these 2, 3 games. Of course, there are a couple of players who are not with us in the squad: Hardik Pandya, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. So in their absence, if you have to, find a couple of things where to, just slot in Rishabh Pant, maybe the answer to the Pant and Karthik debate. We already are inching closer to that answer. We have seen what's the inclination of the management when it comes to Pant versus Karthik. But now that Hardik Pandya is not there, so how are you going to how is that going to impact your bowling? Whether you'll be have the sixth bowling option. If yes, then who? If not, then how are you going to shape up those kind of things? I think that is what exactly India would be looking to find the answers of. Apart from that, I don't think that this is actually going to be much of a pressure series, because I think India is again coming after a victory against a good Australian side. Of course, it was a side which was not having plenty of their first choice players, but it's never a mean feat to defeat Australia no matter where you are playing. So I think they would be high on confidence as well, as is the case with South Africa too, because this year has been plenty of good news for them. Around 13, 14 victories in 18 games that they have played. Came here in India a couple of, I mean, even there they did not lose the series, and they have been good travelers. I think in this part of the world they haven't lost the T20I series since very long in India. So I think both the sides high on confidence, plenty of good players to watch out for, of course. And I think this is the best that you can ask for if you are going into a World Cup. I think these 3 matches is actually an ideal preparation time for both these sides.
Right, and as Pratik was telling that what team management might have chose between like Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant. Vinesh, I would like to ask you like this question I asked like literally everyone who has been a part of our show. Like if you get to choose between Dinesh Karthik and Rishabh Pant, which player would you opt for?
See, again, it depends on current form as well heading into the World Cup, because I think Pant's confidence has gone down a bit. Again, as we have seen, Dinesh Karthik, he comes to he absolutely takes no pressure. He can start striking the ball from ball one. So as of now, at the moment, I would say Dinesh Karthik over Rishabh Pant according to team combinations. But if Pant is again not telling Pant isn't a go-to keeper for India, but as of now, with the World Cup few weeks away, I think I would go Dinesh Karthik.
Right, and whenever we talk about the wicket keepers, I think we can never really leave Sanju Samson out of the debate. And since the match is in Trivandrum, and we have seen the such stardom this guy have, like the cutouts, if you guys have might have seen on Twitter, like the 60 feet cutout of Sanju Samson there was in the stadium. Though he's not playing in the team, but still his fans like really missing him in this match. But do you see that since Sanju Samson is such a player with such caliber, do you see that there is something being wrong happening with Sanju Samson? Like team manager is not considering him as a mainstay of the team. I'll start with you, Prithvi, on this.
See, I think it's very hard. I mean, whenever you are, if you are an Indian selector, no matter which 11, or 15 you actually come up with, there are always going to be questions because there are so many players. There's such a extended pool of players that you are picking players from. That of course there are always going to be players left out. Speaking of his fandom, of course we know that in this part of the world he is absolutely loved, and not just here. I mean, of course he's one player that everyone keenly watches on because you know what kind of talent he possesses. But if you look again, I always say that it's only 11 players that you're going to play, that you're going to field on a given day, and it's only 15 or 16 that you can pick and choose in your squad. And in that process, of course, you will have to take some harsh calls, some harsh decisions. We know what caliber Sanju Samson has. Of course, he brings a lot to the table now, given that he has got the leadership responsibility as well at the IPL. Did wonderfully well with the Rajasthan Royals as well, a batter of unquestionable class, someone who's very calm, would never play a shot in anger. And I think, of course, wicket keeping is another thing, another card that he has. But I think when it comes to Indian side, you have to look at what kind of competition you're facing, because you have Dinesh Karthik, of course, age not being on his side, but given what he has done in the year or so, in the last year or so, it's impossible to ignore him. Rishabh Pant, he's a youngster, he's a left-hander, he's someone who can float around in the order. Perhaps if the need be, you can maybe open with him. You can play him at 5 or 6. He's flexible, and he is the future, so you cannot ignore him as well. And when you already have got a couple of options, and then KL Rahul as well, who also can keep, then you're not looking perhaps at including 4 wicket keepers in your squad, because it kind of dents your overall balance as well. And it's not just about including the players in the squad; it's also about giving them a chance. So you do not want someone to be included just for the sake of it, and then asking them to just sit on the bench, because again you will be questioned for doing that as well. So I think it might look harsh, but I think that whenever these boardroom discussions happen, these harsh calls are to be taken. And one thing personally for me, Samson is a player that I think anyone would love, because when he is on song, he makes you love the game even more, because it's that kind of cricket that he plays. But I think that if you have to make a space in this particular team, in this Indian side, you have to be extraordinarily consistent, which I think is one facet which Sanju Samson really lacks, because we've seen him even in the IPL. A couple of games at the start, he's someone who will just lit up the tournament with those blistering centuries or half centuries, but then suddenly he just starts to lose gas towards the as the tournament progresses. Same is the case even in his international career, whatever limited opportunities he has got. He has not been able to materialize them or exploit them the way he would have liked, or the way anyone would have expected him, given the kind of talent he possesses. So keeping all that in mind, I personally would not call it a harsh or an unfair choice, because you have 3 keepers already, and you really do not have space in this team to slot Sanju in. But I think, of course, it's he's one of the players you definitely want inside the team rather than out.
Right, and we have got an update on toss that India has won the toss and opted to field first. And with this toss update, I would like to ask this question, Vignesh, as Pratya was telling us about Sanju Samson. Uh, we have also got this opinion of Sri Sant on this. He has said he's a senior pro and he's a pro Keralite player again. He has backed Sanju in every situation. Sanju has played under him, and then he has said that he needs to be consistent as well, not just in IPL but in first class cricket as well. So do you see like this is the problem why Sanju is not getting the chances, because he is like uh, unable to perform in first class cricket?
See again, it's all about consistent. It's all about having a consistent run. Sometimes you can kick off the gas and then again come down. So it's all not, again, you need to have that balance. It's not always about staying high in the mountains or deep in the ocean. So it's about finding that right balance. It's about getting those runs consistency. But again, it's right rate has never been a problem for Sanju Samson. It's all about the average and a consistent run. So I would suggest that if he goes into the domestic circuit, play side Mushtaq Ali, play the Vijay Hazare, get some good runs in, and also has a good IPL. You just never know. Things turn around in a jiffy. I would like to give an example of Bhuvneshwar Kumar in this. So 5 months ago, he bowled a 19th over maiden and look at the criticism he's facing today. So again, cricket's a funny game. Things change around very quickly, and again, if he's consistent, it's all again as Pratyay told, four keepers in the squad is surely not going to happen. But again, if he gets those runs, if he's consistent, if he's and he has led the Rajasthan Royals to the finals of the IPL, so it's an added advantage. I think his time will come, but again, it's all about consistency.
Right, and after the toss, Rohit Sharma has said, we are going to bowl first. It was a good wicket when we play here last time, bit of green covering, but it's going to be a good batting track. Very critical to continue to do what you're doing and keep that momentum in this format. Very healthy atmosphere in the group, and we also want to make sure to tick all the boxes. And so far, we have been doing good, and we just want to continue to do that way. Hardik and Bhuvi are rested from the last series. Since India won the toss, and we all know that in Kerala, usually what the history says, and we all know the pitch behavior, that it is going to support batting and high scoring match. It is going to be. Do you see this toss is a good one to win, Pratyay?
Well, definitely, yes. I think India has chosen to field, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're I think it's one of those templates. I think these you know that India is a great chasing side. I think personally, from personal point of view, I think I would want them to see defending totals more than chasing, because even in the previous series, I think it was the case of defending which they failed at in the first T20I, when they, despite having 210 on the board, India was not able to defend it. In the next two games, India was chasing, and we saw what happened. But I think going into the World Cup, you never know in a situation that toss is something which is absolutely beyond your control. And in a crunch game, if you lose it and you are asked to bat first, in that situation, I think from that perspective, I would have wanted them to bat first, and instead of opting to chase, they should have defended the total. But I think if you want, this is the first game, of course, and you do not in three match series, it becomes very tricky. If you lose the first one, then the only way you're looking at winning the series is by winning both the games. And it's not very hard to do, but it's not easy either. So you always want to at least clinch the first game, to just give yourself a cushion, maybe, that even if you lose the next, you still have one game to go. So maybe from that perspective, he might have thought to, because it's always easy when you have a target in front of you. And we know the chasing ability when you have guys like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, the batters of these pedigree, players who have played a lot of international cricket. They can pace their game well. Surya Kumar Yadav, of course, and even the other youngsters that we have in the side. When you have a target in front of you, it becomes a lot easier than putting one. So I think from that perspective as well, and also the fact that India has not played a lot of cricket at this venue, only a couple of games, and one also was a shortened game to 8 overs a side. So the sample size is not really too big. So it's always better to to know that you're walking into a chartered territory, and kind of know that what kind of a total are you chasing becomes easier. So I think from that perspective, it's a good choice to field first.
all right. With that, let's take a look at the head-to-head of these two teams in T20I. So we have seen them playing a lot of matches, and there were a huge competition. But when it comes to T20I, the total matches were 20. These teams have played. India won 11, South Africa 8, and one match has been no result. So, today, last time we saw India and South Africa playing 4 months back. It was in June when they had two each. Series was drawn between these two. One was basically a draw. Then now we have again, like 4 months after 4 months, we have another series of India and South Africa. Some are saying this doesn't make sense because they have just played T20I, and now again you are calling them. But like, I just really want to know your opinion on this. If a team is playing T20I series and after 4 months again they are playing, is that really make any sense, or this is that really going to help them in any way? Because just now you have played, right?
See, I think, of course, it was not too long ago that we had that series. From that perspective, it's a little weird. I think it's a little absurd, because we do not see, teams traveling to the same. It's not even a case where India is going to South Africa. It's again South
That
Africa which is visiting India. So I think
yeah.
from that perspective, it's looking a little absurd. But also the fact that the all the scheduling that we have had in the recent past, there have been plenty of games that have been rescheduled. The previous series, I guess, was a case of being rescheduled because India was supposed to play South Africa in early 2020. That was a series which got cancelled because of COVID issues. So I think if
Hmm.
because of that as well, the scheduling have been a little awry. But if you talk about preparations, I think this South African side, we have said for South Africa very often, we know what happens to them when they go at ICC tournaments. But if you see the recent backdrop, the kind of cricket they've been playing, the kind of players that they have, I think this is perhaps one of the best South African sides that you have ever seen, as good as any team that you will ever have. And I think from that perspective, even in the last World Cup in 2021, had it not been for their poor net run rate, they would have ended up qualifying. And ever since then, in this entire year that we have seen them playing cricket, it has been a great year in almost every format, and specifically they have dominated in white ball cricket in T20 over formats a lot. So from the preparation perspective, I think they could not have been better teams than Australia and South Africa for you if you are looking from the World Cup preparation perspective. So from that sense, of course, this series will hold a lot of importance. And any game, any international game that you are going to play, just a couple of weeks before a tournament of that magnitude that a T20 World Cup is, it is definitely going to be important. So I don't think that from that perspective it's a inconsequential series. But yes, it does look a little weird for the simple reason that you do not see this happening often. That a team that just visited you a couple of months back or 3 months back, coming back again and playing three T20Is. So yeah, from that perspective, it's a little weird. But I think this is a great chance for both the teams, and they would definitely want to seize these opportunities because there's not a lot of time left, and then the World Cup is just on your head. So of course.
Vignesh, your thought on this, because as Pratyay rightly said, ki it is a little, I would say, yeah, absurd. Exactly the word is, because we have seen them touring us like before 4 months back, and now again we are like they have toured us for the same, and then we are seeing them for the T20I series. Now we have World Cup in front of us, but we have just played them. We know how to tackle them. Like it is just 4 months back. Do you see this a really good way to start off with your World Cup? Because in the last particular series, you try on your all the talents, and then you come up with the best combination you can ever have for the World Cup. Do you
So
see this is the good?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you see this is
So
a good?
as I told earlier, just when we started, it feels a little weird. But again, we can see this in two ways. We can see this as a top South African side, so it becoming a challenge for the Indian team with the likes of Rabada, Nokia, and also Shamsi, who's doing really well at the moment. And again, Riley Russo, who's been exceptional recently, and Miller after the IPL has become a hot product. So it's a very balanced South African team, very good South African team. So we can see that as Indian can face that as a three-game challenge as well. And also the other side of the coin is the workload management. There June they play five T20s, and the Bangalore game being washed out, and again 4 months later they're playing a three-game ODI series, T20 series again. Again, it's all about how the scheduling works. As Pratyay again told, the one series group. But again, I feel it's a little weird just getting in the World Cup, getting in so many games and with the same team, I would say. So yeah.
Okay, so with that thought, let's take a look at the player to watch out of this particular match from South Africa and India. I think for me, it is going to be Quinton de Kock from South African side, because he has been really good of a player and he has played really well. He has played 69 matches with the 1,894 runs and averaging 31.04. His highest is 79 not out. And from India, we can see Rohit Sharma as a player to watch out. He is been phenomenal when he bats for India. He has played 139 matches. His runs are 3,694 and his average is 32.40. His highest is 118 runs. I think these two players makes the best players to watch out of this match. Pratyay, your players to watch out is Rohit Sharma, Quinton de Kock, or somebody else?
Well, plenty. I think in this particular series, if you actually look at the kind of players you're looking at, there's plenty, I think, because the talent that South Africa has at the moment at their disposal. Quinton de Kock, of course, he's a very experienced player, has been playing a lot of league cricket as well, in international setup as well. He has spent a lot of time. So is the case with Rohit Sharma. He has been playing for over a decade. So of course, these are the experienced cricketers. But for if you start talking about the likes of a Tristan Stubbs maybe, or an Aiden Markram, the kind of players that South Africa is filled with. I think the reason I said that it's a match-winning side is because a lot of players that you see, I think in the past, what we have seen is that yes, of course, South Africa have a problem of not being able to clinch important moments in the game, which is I think the primary reason of their downfall when it comes to tournaments like the World Cup, because there you do not have the margin of error is really very limited, and an error or two here and there, and you are probably out of the reckoning even before you can actually understand what has happened. But this team, the biggest plus and the biggest positive for this South African side is that it's filled with match winners. on their day, if you actually start to look at their lineup right from the top till the bottom, there is every player you can think that okay, this is a guy who can win you the match single-handedly on his day. And I think that is when you start to believe, and that kind of confidence, that kind of belief is being seen in their side as well. And specifically, if you're talking about India, I think, I mean, it's a record. It's speaking for themselves. 7 or 8 victories, bilateral series wins. I think India is absolutely formidable when it comes to these kind of series back at home. But I think given the backdrop that the last you won a major tournament was way back in 2013 under MS Dhoni, the Champions Trophy. You want to win these tournaments, you want to win these series, of course. But as long as you are not winning these tournaments, questions will be raised, because ultimately your greatness, that is how the system works. Your greatness will not be judged or will not be assessed on what you are doing in these kind of tournaments at home or in these kind of bilateral series, but what you are going to do when you are thrown different challenges in a very limited span of time, which is what World Cups do. So from that regard, I think India has a great opportunity as well. And who better than Rohit Sharma to name? Because I think he's the leader. He has got back in form. The start of the year was not ideal for him. With the Mumbai Indians, 8 losses on the trot, the bat was not talking. But then an odd innings here and there against the England in the England T20Is. Now he has kind of picked up his groove. And the best part about him is that he is doing what he wants his team to do. I think that's the most important thing for a captain to do, because if you start to doing that, others will start following you. So I think that aggressive template that he keeps on talking about, it has been a conscious effort. You can actually see in him in his batting that when he comes out to bat, he is putting that effort. He is trying to take on the bowlers, and it's a version of Rohit Sharma that we haven't seen very often, but it's a newer version of Rohit Sharma. So it's very heartening to see that he is not only saying that, but he's sticking to it as well. So I think from that perspective, definitely he is one of the players to watch out for. But in the entire series, of course, Virat Kohli is there, Jasprit Bumrah is there, plenty of players. Arshdeep Singh returns, so plenty of players to watch out for. It's very hard to pick one from each side.
Right, and this thought, what Pratyay has said, is all about what Rohit Sharma fans want to say, because we all know what fandom that guy again have, because Rohit Sharma is having a cutout in Kerala as well. So, as Pratyay, you were rightly saying that these two teams have big hitters, like big T20I hitters. These two teams have, but if you get to pick one, which team will you pick? I'll ask Vignesh first. Vignesh, if you had to choose one team who has better hitters of T20I format, which team will you pick? That's a difficult one, I know.
Oh, again, as of now with Dinesh Karthik, again it's different. There's a difference. To win the series, I would definitely pick South Africa. But as the big hitters going through, I think the current squad again with Riley Russo, with Markram at number 4 has been a serious package for SRH, and I think he would go well with. South Africa as well. David Miller, man, after the fantastic IPL when people were which in the arc, in the arc, it's out of the park stuff, that the criticism that was going on after that 100 against Bangalore. I think he's back into his groove. I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. Again, if he sets in and if he plays those 5 to 6 balls, if he's in the zone, I think. They have a proper middle order right now, and the finishing touch of Stubbs. Jansen also can hit a long ball. I think this series without Hardik, I think it is. I am slightly towards the South African side with the big hitters.
Well, that's interesting. Pratyay, your take on this, like, which team are you backing to win the series?
I think, as I said, when you're talking about India and India, it's a very formidable side. We've seen them doing it since the last T20 World Cup. There hasn't been one series that India has lost. An odd match here and there, it's okay, but otherwise, you're seeing that the results are reflecting and the performance has been pretty phenomenal. So I think it's not going to be easy. South Africa is definitely not a side that you would want to take lightly. In fact, at this level, you would never want to take any side lightly. But when you are playing in India, you know that what kind of strength India has. Even in the last series, I think after losing the first game, India showed great character to come back and win back-to-back games and then defeat a side like Australia, which I again say it's one of the best sides that you're talking about. Even if it is not with their first choice players, it's still one of the best in the business that you're talking about. So I think from that perspective, it's much easier, and the safe choice, of course, would be India. But I think South Africa is still a team. The kind of cricket that they have played in this year, you would not want to discount them at any cost. So I think India will still have to step up and put their A game if they have to win this one.
Right, and a heartbreaking news coming up from the ground. Bumrah had a niggle in the morning, so he misses out, and Chahal misses out as well. Deepak Chahar and Ashwin are back. I think that's quite a heartbreak for India fans because Bumrah, we love Bumrah, and whenever it comes to the death bowling, I think we have no other choice than Bumrah because any other player who comes up, we all miss Bumrah a lot on this. Vignesh, your take on this because we are now playing without Bumrah. Whom do you think will take up the responsibility?
See again, people just throw away Harshal Patel for no reason. He's just been through a few rough patches, I would say, a few bad games, but I think he has been exceptional for India as well as RCB in the last 2 years. I think he's been doing really well. Just a few here and he just bowls a few short balls here and there. Again, with the risk, it's like a death bowling is always risk and reward, you know. So you get the goods, you get the wickets, and also you go for runs sometimes. So I don't think. It's going to affect India. Again, Bumrah, it has to take a toll on Indian in the side. But again, Harshal Patel with Harshal Patel, I think it's going to be the people need to back Harshal Patel with Deepak Chahar. With a new ball, I think it's a likely replacement to Bhuvi. He can swing the ball both ways. And Ashwin, Chahal, I was actually looking for a player battle with Chahal and Riley Russo. If you see Riley Russo, there are only two South African cricketers who played 100 T20s and averages 30, 30 plus, that is Riley Russo and De Villiers, and Riley Russo plays here. I think Chahal and Riley Russo would have been a great player battle to watch out for. But again, India wouldn't want to risk Bumrah with 3 to 4 weeks with the World Cup. I think Nigel is fine. I think he would recover well. But yeah, that's
Okay, so with the player battle, we can start off as Vignesh rightly said, UG Chehal's player battle with Riley Russo. Can we have a look at the player battle of this match? What are we going to have? Okay, so this is Chehel and Quentin de Kock, runs 54, balls 44, out six times. That's quite a great battle, I guess, because a lot of people were talking about it, de Kock versus Chehel. Vignesh, your thought on this player battle? Because, okay, oh, sorry. I again forgot. Chehel is not playing in this match, but there is going to be a like the player battle, it has been happening. Since we're talking about the player battle, let's take a look at the social tracker of this particular match. What social media is talking about and about this match, what people are really tweeting. Royal Challengers Bangalore, Team India calling. Shahbaz has been called up to the India squad for the T20I series against South Africa. That's quite a great call because Hardik Pandya is missing and Shahbaz has been called up for Hardik Pandya. Next tweet. Umesh Yadav, Shreyas Iyer, and Shahbaz Ahmed added to India's squad. Definitely, that's the names because Bhuvi and Hardik Pandya they are in NCA for their some conditional training, and then Umesh Yadav and Shreyas Iyer and Shahbaz Ahmed has been added to it. Next tweet, please. Rajasthan Royals have tweeted three people who want India to win today are looking at each other. that's that's quite great. Next tweet, do we have any other? 50 plus win rate batting first in T20Is at Tiruvananthapuram. Okay, so whoever team which bats first has 50 percentage of winning. That's again quite challenging. सभी का अपना
I
अपना
wouldn't.
एक
Yeah,
yeah.
I wouldn't look into too much into that because there's been only two games played at this venue and one was an 8 over game. So yeah, the numbers can be quite here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have only seen two matches, and one was full 20 over match, and uske baad mein second mein we get to
The
see some
rain
rain.
curtailed one
But
was an
today
eight
there
over
is
game.
yeah, but today there is I guess there is no update on rain because it's quite clear. The sky is quite clear, so it's going to be cloudy only, but not rain at all, right? So I think ये proper match देखने को मिलेगा. But last question I would ask about Temba Bavuma, the South African captain. He got up an injury while playing against India in June, and then again he's back against India. But we have seen that there was SA 20 auctions were going on, and he wasn't being picked up by any franchise in South Africa itself. Do you see this as like a big thing because he's the South African captain in T20Is? The World Cup is coming, and no one is actually believing in him as a captain, maybe, or as a player to be in their franchise league. Priti, I'll start with you on this.
Well, definitely. I think if you are leading a national side in the format and you are going into an auction, you have given your name for that, got yourself listed. So of course you're expecting yourself to be picked. There's no doubt he would be disappointed with that. But again, you have to look at the larger scheme of things when you're talking about Temba Bavuma. I think no doubt. I mean, he is a batter of class. There's no one questioning his credentials because he's playing international cricket. So you know that he has done something, which is the reason he's playing at this level. But in these sort of leagues, you know, SA20 is again has been owned by the franchises are owned by IPL owners already, and they have run a very successful league for 15 years. So they know what their business is. If any of the team is not purchasing him, it has to do something either with him, his skill sets not being with what the format demands or what they feel would do justice in their team. Because I think these are very tactical decisions, and I think plenty of tournaments. I think we do not perhaps understand how auction dynamics works. But I think it's on the auction table which a lot of things actually get decided, because what kind of players you are pulling inside your team is actually going to decide your future, is actually going to decide your performance. And when you talk about Bavuma, he is a good batter, no doubt about that. But if you talk about the strike rate in this particular format, if you are striking, at 120, 130, 110, that too after having played for that long as Bavuma has played, then perhaps you are not doing justice to the format's demand. And I think that is where he has missed a trick. Secondly, I think in this particular format in T20, what we have seen is that players increasingly we are trying to we are giving more importance to skills, multiple skills. If you're a batter and if you can roll your arm over, say someone like a Hardik Pandya, he's a seam bowling all-rounder, suddenly changes the complexion of the game. So even if he's having a bad day with the bat, he can come and kind of compensate with the ball. Deepak Huda again is someone who is an all-rounder, can give you a bit of a handy off spin. So you start to treasure these players all the little bit more. But with Bavuma, I think he is a good fielder, of course, but it's not a primary skill that you can show off about or you can say. So I think apart from his batting, if you have to be just as a batter included in a team, your batting has to be really rock solid. You have to be really quick with your strike rate, and you have to be that dependable batter on which the team would want to rely upon. I think that kind of that kind of confidence is not something Bavuma has been able to inspire in the teams. And of course, I think it's a bit of a shocker because you do not expect the national captain who is leading in the side to go unsold in an auction. You would not expect that to happen in India or for that matter anywhere else in the world. So it's a bit of a surprise, of course. But I think Babuma, I don't know. I mean, it is disappointing, but I think he perhaps did not merit that kind of merit a purchase in the auctions, which is why the teams have interest in him.
Right, Vignesh, I'll take your thought on this as well because Temba Bavuma, like he's the side captain of the side, and then nobody is really showing interest in taking him in their own franchise team. So, how do you see this? Like, will that is that going to like give him a little bit of like what should I say? The mental space which every player has. Like nobody's actually believing in you and believing in your talent and not taking not taking you in their team. So, how do you see this?
Yeah, as of me, it's like all professional cricketers or all professional sportsmen go through this critical patch. It's all critics, and he has a point to prove in this series, I would believe. But again, the auction dynamics, how the team structure itself is one point. So, firstly, they go for explosive batters, I would say, then the death bowlers. So they have their slots filled. So again, at that position, when again, it was like how when and how Bauma entered the auction. So I wouldn't say it was like it is a bit of confidence. It would have hit his confidence a bit, but again, he has a point to prove in this series, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me for this show. We'll see you guys at the post show, and we'll check like how this match has really went for Team India and for the fans. But do join us on the post show because we are going to talk about a lot of cricket, which we love, and we are going to see a lot of stuff which has happened in this match, and we are going to discuss. Till then, take care and please watch In the Air show presented by Crick Tracker.